All right, there we go. I think we're live. Um, Welcome to the first WordPress how-to tutorial. And I beg your pardon with some of this because I am very new to the Google Hangouts software. I've heard about it. I've been in them, but I've never actually tried to use them and do screen share. So this is the first one, so we'll see how it goes. I'm pretty sure it's going to be fine. Google's pretty easy to use. So, all right, let me hop on over here and get out the WordPress to-do list. First things we're going to do, we're going to go over WordPress basics. So basically, we're going to talk about how to create a blog post, customizing your permalinks and what those things are, how to stylize your posts. And it's a little bit different than you would think, although it has changed in recent years, which is good. It's gotten easier. Then you have to stylize, or no, excuse me, to schedule, publish your post, and just how to save it and like save as drafts and things like that. Just general working stuff. And then your pages, what those are and how they're different than a post, and also formatting your menus. And then if you have registered for this, you are going to get a follow-up email series. It's just 2 or 3 emails that basically explain how to do security plugins and also how to manage your plugins and how to make sure that they don't destroy your site. Because if you have too many plugins, that can happen. So let me go ahead and do a screen share and I will walk you all through how to create a blog post. So this is very basic. Now, I do expect that you know your WordPress login and you know how to get to it and you know how to log in. And we're going to start off with the WordPress dashboard. And the dashboard is going to show you how, well, from there, I'm going to show you how to get to where you're going. And it's going to look a little bit different than what I have set up because WordPress, it's customizable, but what's going to look different is that I have the Avada theme. And if you don't have the Avada theme, you're going to see different buttons. The basic buttons are still going to be there. So that's what you're going to look for. Um, but then I have other plugins in that also change the way my left-hand menu is going to look. So just ignore those if you don't have them. It's not that something's wrong with yours. It's just that it may be laid out differently. Okay, so let's do a screen share and let's get started with that. All right, let me move this over so we don't have the infinity going on. All right, so now you should be seeing my screen here. Yes, you are. All right, great. So this is your dashboard, and a lot of times you'll have like a welcome message up here. Again, I've just gotten rid of that because I don't need to read that every time I log in. So to create a blog post, go to Posts, Add New, or you can go up to New, Add Post. They go to the exact same spot. And then once you've logged in, it does take a little bit sometimes. They're not slow today. I'm not sure what's going on there. To create a post, you type in your title and go, my new blog post. Do fake text here and here and here, just so we have something to go. Now, a couple things you're going to notice. When I typed in my new blog post, it automatically created this thing called a permalink. Now, just not without getting too deep into it, posts, pages, all of this stuff works into a database, and each one of these things in a database has something called an ID. Well, instead of it saying, / 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, permalinks lets you have something a little bit more SEO friendly, search engine optimized friendly. My new blog post without permalinks, I think it's just like basic like / an ID number or / it's been a long time since I turned those off, but it's not this. It's something more generic that's not quite so SEO friendly, but it lets you do this. But if you need to edit this, like let's say this has just goes on forever and it's too long. What I've seen a lot of people do is if they publish podcasts, they'll come in here and they'll go like session 101. And so when they're talking in their podcast, they can say, look for the show notes at my website / session 101, and it will take them to this page. So that's kind of the reason you may want to change this as you're working. If you needed to have something shorter so that it's easier for your viewers. Or your visitors. So let's get a little bit further into this. I'm going to put subtext here and new paragraph here. All right. So I want to go over how to stylize your posts. Now, one thing you want to know is that when you click on this, WordPress has changed a little bit. It used to be that you couldn't even change the color of your of your stuff. But way a website works is there's something called cascading style sheets. And when you have these set up through your WordPress theme, which is why a lot of themes like Avada, you can go in and you can actually customize like the colors for your headers, for your body text, for your subheaders. Like you can make them all different. You can change the fonts. You do that in your theme options. And the reason is that it's all for consistency. So when I go in here and I say, I want the heading 1, well, it makes it big here, and you're not gonna really notice the difference here, but see, it's black and, like a dark oh, it's rather a dark gray, and it's kind of a serif font or serif font, sorry. And then this is a paragraph tag, and then if I go down here and I say, "Oh, I want it to be a heading 2." So it's you can see that they're different sizes, but it's just plain text, right? So unless I specify that I want this to be red, right? Then I go over here and I publish. Again, the internet's taking a minute. Once it gets around to publishing, you're going to see that when you go to view post, well, this I shouldn't have made it red because my red's kind of really red. This is that red of the typical title. But here is the red. You can see it's a little bit darker. This is the red where I made it red. But it's not dark gray text. It's the color and the size and the font of what I have specified in my Avada theme, in my theme options. So that's being reflected here. You can't change your font or your font style or anything like that in your editor. And your editor is back here. Come on, internet, you can do it. There we go. This is your editing window, right? So you can see it's like dark here. So you can change like, you want it to be a title, which is a header 1. You know that you want this to be a subtitle, which is header 2. And you can go all the way to 6, but most times everybody stops at 3, maybe 4 when they're doing their styles. You really don't go past that, is in my experience. But that's how you style, right? And then you have all your typical Word things. Like I can go up here and I can bold it, I can italicize it. There are things like block quotes here where you can block quotes and it indents it here. But if I go look over on the actual page itself, it's going to look a little bit different depending on your theme. Some of them put like a little line down the side. Some of them just indent them and like make the larger text. It's different for every theme. Um, and to open it up a new window without changing this window, I just hit Control and then clicked, and it opens it up in a new tab for me. Yeah, see, like this one, the block quotes have their own special style. They've got a gray background, they've got a left bar on the side that's red, and the text is italicized. So that's what I mean. It's like your style sheet set up in your theme options is going to change the way that your stuff looks. So all you're really concerned about in the editor is getting the structure the way it needs to be. And that's all you really need to know for doing an editor. There's other things in here, like a lot of times people like to write their stuff in Word first. So when you write it in Word first, sometimes it's helpful to change your paste mode. You can see right here, it takes out, if you're looking to paste content rich from Microsoft Word, turn this option off. A lot of times Word likes to add stuff to your content. So you could like paste something in from Word and it will behind the scenes change the way that that style looks. And no matter what you do, unless you know code and go over here to text, that's where you can change your code. Um, it will change it and you won't be able to change it back unless you know what you're doing. And for a lot of new users, that's just kind of ridiculous. So that's how you deal with Word if you want it just to be plain format. And a lot of times, if you're just having trouble, turn this on and then paste it in and then just format it again in here and you'll just save yourself time and headache. Okay, a couple more things. This over here is strike through. So if you need to strike through your text like that, this is called a horizontal line. What it does is it puts a divider, just like Word, um, but it's programmed a little differently. But this is the divider, and it just all the way across. Anything above it stays above it. Anything below it stays below it. You can't go like halfway with these. It's like once you put it in, it's across. You're not allowed in this editor, at least, to change it without like getting in again into specific coding styles. Clear formatting. If you import something and you need to change the formatting, you can go clear formatting and it reverts it to normal. Same kind of thing. Like there, I had made that here and I just clear formatting, puts it back to square one. Special characters. If you are writing in a foreign language or if you are looking for webdings or wingdings or whatever the font is that does that. They are not emojis, so different. They're called ASCII characters, and this is just a quick way to find it without knowing what you're doing. The most common ones are going to be your copyrights, your registration, and your trademarks. So those are the ones you look for there. And then, of course, fractions every once in a while, or degrees. So that's where you can find those. And I remember when I started, I said that you're going to see stuff that will be in mine, but won't be in yours. Fusion Builder and Slider Revolution are add-ons to the Avada theme. They're not part of Avada. They're a separate thing, but Avada uses them. So that's what those are. When you install other things like let's say you want a YouTube embed plugin or things like that, those will also show up in these trays. You also might just be seeing these. It's called the kitchen sink icon. When you click it, it brings down like the extras that you can do. Um, just something to keep in mind. Like if you only see this one thing, you can click this and it'll bring down more. Speaking of more, there is this button called a read more tag. When you write your blog posts, a lot of times you can actually set your own excerpt amount, meaning if you have, let's say you only want like the first 100 characters or the first like paragraph that's in there, but you want like to show up when you have like your blogs listed out, so that they have to read a little bit and then they click read more and then they can go to the actual article page and read the whole thing. This is where you would set that in. You said more at this point, and they're cut off. They're not going to show any more text below that on your blog excerpt page. What you're going to see is what's above here, and then you're going to see a read more button. So that's what this means. And you can just, if you want to get rid of it, you click it and hit delete and it goes away. So very easy to use. And I think the rest of these are pretty common: left, align, right, bullets, numbered orders. That's pretty much it for this editor. And I wanted to go over it here first because this exact same editor is what you use when you do pages. So let's go ahead and save this just so we have our working one. And this is a live site, but that's all right. I'll just go and delete it. It's going to be up for like, what, 10 minutes? Not a big deal. All right. And so then we get our view post. So you can click on this or you can click on this and they go to the same spot. New tab or up here. But one thing is if you click on this, it's going to take you to this and close out your blog editing window. But to get back to it, you go up and you hit edit post, which is helpful because if you're scrolling through your site and you see an error, you can just hit that edit button at the top and then edit it right there. It takes you right to the edit page. A couple of more things. You can set the author if you have more than one author listed on your site. Over here, this is also a common one. This is Yoast. This is a plugin. But the categories, when you can set up new categories through here, and this is the easiest spot to do it. They do have a categories page over here if you've just got a ton of categories. But typically, like let's say I'm going to talk about this being in the knowledge base. So then when I save it, you also don't have to worry about formatting unless you're like a super user. So don't worry about that. Because what this is you can set these things up and then you can have another plugin that will only pull in your quotes or only pull in your images. And you're creating a blog post that has this assignment to it. So that's what I'm saying is it kind of gets a little bit more into other stuff. But then we scroll down. Do I have my categories showing? I'm not sure I do. No, it doesn't look like I do. Well, on the basic WordPress sites, I think I've already taken them out of here. You'll see the categories listed here as well. Or on the side, here we go. So knowledge base. So if I click on the category knowledge base, you'll see my URL changes here. So category knowledge base. And this is every single blog post I've made that has the category knowledge base checked, including my new blog post. So there we go. I'm back to it. So now let's see. I've talked about, one more thing about customizing your permalinks before we move off of this. Let's see, you go to appearance, plugins, tools, settings. There we go. Permalinks. If you ever have a problem with your site not working the way you think it would do, like you're clicking on stuff and it's not working, try resetting your permalinks, because sometimes if you do a major upgrade, it will reset your permalinks. And so the only way to do that is you just don't have to do anything. Just go down and hit save and it will reset it. So pro tip. But this is what your permalinks are. If you do not have them enabled, this is what I was talking about with the ID number. It's going to go query post equals post ID number. That's what that means. Nobody can read that. And it's kind of a pain to have. So if you go down here and go to post name and then sample post, this is what I use on almost everything because it's just the most clear cut way to do it. You want to get fancy, you can put in other things like the hour of the day, the category or who wrote it. And like if you want to have post name, but also have the author, that kind of thing. Then you would just come down here and hit save and it would enable that across all your links. The ones that are existing and the ones that are future are all going to be formatted like this. So that's your permalinks. Now, I did want to show one more thing about your posts is scheduling. A lot of us have day jobs and we like to publish stuff while we're working. So what you can do is go over here to edit and you choose, I want to publish this. Today's March 30th, but let's say it was next week. We could say April, what is April 1, 2, April 2nd. And then you can set the time. It's military time, so you got to keep that in mind. Hit OK, and then schedule, and then it'll come back and it'll say it's scheduled. But I believe it may let me see it anyway because I'm an admin user. Yeah, it does. But the general public, it says up here ID number because it's technically in draft mode. So I can see it because it's my blog post. I'm logged in as an admin user, but no one else can see this. Like if I went to an incognito window, yeah, see 404, can't find it. It's not available to the public. So that's really important because when you're trying to schedule stuff out, it lets you work ahead without losing your mind, basically. All right, so now we've covered all the blog post stuff. I told you this is going to be quick. The next thing we want to talk about is creating pages. Pages. So what are pages before we get too far into it? Now, I know about this. This is really embarrassing, but I couldn't fix it in time before we started this thing. So basically, I updated Avada, and like some updates, it breaks stuff. So I've got to go back and I've got to reformat the homepage, which I hadn't had time to do because I found out about it at 5. The webcast is at 5:30. So it's a little egg on my face, but it is what it is. So to get back to this, let's go to the 30-minute training page. I didn't want to get away from content because it's a little specific. Here, you might be able to hear my cat yelling at another cat outside. I apologize. Let's say this is a page. A page is something that you want to think about as being it's like a main hub. It's not going to change that often. It's regular information. You can have your services on here. You can have your products listed if you don't have them in like a shopping cart. It's the pages that don't change that often, but are more than just like a press release, which is kind of what you would use the blog for. You want to use the blog for like your news and your industry and when you need to categorize information. Pages are just the standard like working documents. So that's the difference here. But let me show you. Now, maybe this isn't going to be a good option because I think this is done in Fuse. Yeah, this is done in the Fusion Builder, which is really cool for beginners, by the way, but there is the learning curve. So we're going to go to Pages, Add New. We're going to make a new page. And once this loads, you're going to see that it looks a heck of a lot like a blog post page. Now, the difference here is very subtle. There's no categories listed over here. I have a ton of featured images, again, because of my Avada theme. And I've got Fusion Builder, but otherwise, this is pretty much the same thing. You go to pages, my new page. And then here for the content is here. All these are exactly the same. It's the same setup as you had in the blog post. Adding media, you click on this and you go to upload files, find your file. This is going to be different for you too. Watch your files. Generally, you want image files to be very small. With Retina images and high speed, it's kind of like, do you really need to do it anymore? Not as much having small images, but it is important. So this is where your library, so everything you've ever uploaded is here, right? Like we can see, how about Brownlee? We'll use Brownlee because I just launched them, right? And that's how you put it in. You can click on an image, you can go to edit, you can change the caption. If I want to put a caption on, generally, I'm a no to captions because I think it messes with the flow. Brownlee Law, group, screen capture. Alternative text is what people who use screen readers, people who are visually impaired will use to navigate your site. So it is important, and it also helps with your search engine, though not as much as it used to, your search engine ranking. Um, but it's more for making the site accessible, which is very important. Then you can set your size. WordPress will automatically make several versions of your image. It will make a thumbnail, generally used for like when you're listing out your blog posts. It is a medium size, just so that you're somewhere in the middle, and then the size it came in at. And then Avada again comes up with their own. So we're going to choose medium. You can use this to link to the media file, meaning the original full size version, which is what we're going to use. And you can see it's written down there. And then we're going to hit, but you can also, if you have, let's say this is a thumbnail, you're linking out to your Amazon shopping cart, or you're linking out to something else, you can change the URL here by hitting custom URL. So we're going to say media file. So I can show you what that looks like. See the caption written down there. And then we're going to hit publish. You can see right there where it auto-generated the new URL. And a view page. And there we go. And when I click on this, it brings up the image. But you see, it brought it up in a new page. Like there's nothing else here. I have to go back to get back to my other page. But that's what it does. So if you just need to show like a series of like images like floor plans or garden venues or things like that, it's not that bad of a use when you're just trying to just get the information up. Nothing fancy. All right. And then there was one more thing I wanted to show you about pages. What was it? Oh, we'll get to the next part we're going to talk about is menus. And when we get to the menus, you're going to see what I mean a little bit about the page names. But you can set it so that your page is automatically shows up in your menus. When you create a page, it automatically shows up there. I generally turn that off because as a designer, I find that I want to have more customization available to me. Like I don't want my pages to just randomly um, show up in the menu, because what if I have a full menu and now I'm adding another page to it? I just want more control than that. So I have custom menus turned on, but you can set it up to where you create a page, and I think that's the default. It automatically throws it in the top navigation of your site. And over here, page attributes, you can select a parent. Like let's say I want this page to be nestled under about. Again, Avada, I can choose what kind of theme I want. We're just going to go with the default. And then you can select order. So this will, you can say, I want it to be third, right? Warning, if you have more than one page set to 3, the one that I believe is the newest is going to show up. It's not necessarily going to show up in the order you believe it's going to show up. So just keep that in mind, because it's kind of like a weighting system. The higher the number, the lower it's going to be. And then view page. Now, if I go to about, see, it's not going to show up here because I have my menus overriding it. But if you didn't have that, that's how you could override it, kind of doing it this way. So speaking of menus, let's head on back, because that's how pages. If you have any questions about pages, please send me out a Twitter link and I'll be happy to go through any of this stuff. Just send me out a Twitter notice and I'll walk you through it. It's none of this stuff's hard. It's just kind of got to get in there and do it. And let's see, we're talking about menus. Let's see, appearance, menus. There we go. I believe you can also get to them for your admin bar. No, maybe from the other side. All right, so when you first come to this page, it's not going to say anything but create a new menu. So that's kind of where you're going to probably start from. When you do create a new menu, you're going to want to give it a new name. I call mine main menu, or sometimes I call it top navigation. And the reason that's important is because in your theme options, sometimes your theme will give you the option to choose which menu you want to show where. Like I may want a different menu to show up in my footer than I want to show up in my header. So giving it a descriptive name about what it is going to help you out, so you don't pull your hair out being like, why is this showing here later on? So down to add something, let's go over here. We're going to use the My New Page as an example, and we're going to add it to my menu. All right. Then you see it added down here. Well, at this level, all these ones that are furthest left are all top level pages, right? But I want to nest this one under my about one. So what I do is I click and I drag it. And you see how it indents there? I could even put it one further and make it under join our Better Designs community, which is a Facebook group. If you ever want to help with design stuff, go check that out on Facebook. It's good stuff. But you nest it one further under. And then down here, see where I can say that I want my display location? I want this menu to show up everywhere. Now I've got mine listed as main navigation, which is also why I named this main menu. um, but I could also, some themes just have like top navigation. So you would click on that. Or if I want to automatically add the new top level pages to this menu, that's what I was talking about before, where you can have it automatically show up. I've turned mine off because I don't like that. I'll hit save menu. And now when I go to look at my menu, again with my broken homepage, I click over and there's my new page. See, that's how that works. That's pretty snazzy. It's pretty good. I want to go back and I want to take that off because it's to remove it. Drop down and go to remove. And then remember to hit save. That's the other thing gets people is that these buttons are all the way over here. They're not like in your face, so it's easy to miss them. So let's see. We've talked about how to create a blog post, customizing your permalinks, stylizing your post. We've talked about scheduling, saving, and publishing. Clicking the publish button. How to create pages, what the differences between a page and a blog post are. We've talked about formatting your menus. And again, if you want to get the follow-up emails, which are videos on how to install and manage your plugins and setting up your basic site security and managing your backups, those two things to go over the plugins page, which is the load. So all the plugins that I have installed and some that I have in, but I don't have activated, it talks about, how to manage them. How do you know kind of what to deal with and what to do when one goes bad? Because that will happen eventually, especially, with WordPress. WordPress generally now automatically updates itself, but when that happens, sometimes it doesn't play nice with the plugins you have installed. So just something to keep in mind. And then we have our security. I use all-in-one security, and I think it's amazing. The plugins, I'll go back to here because I'll show you what I'm going to do. It's the all-in-one WP security. So when you look to install your plugin, look for this. I just have found it amazing, but it is complicated. And I'll show you why. Like if you go down here, these are all the things you can set and they're all important. So I want to take you guys through how to use each one of these. So I'll walk you through how to do each one and what you can avoid, what you need to set up right away and what kind of like the minimum ones you need to set up, just so that you have a basic security. Most what WordPress attacks are automated. So if you can turn this on, you automatically like lock out like half the people that are wish your website harm. WordPress is great, but it is susceptible because it is 25% of the web uses WordPress. It's crazy high number. Um, but because of that, it's also a big, big target. So let's see. I think that's about it. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing. If you guys need anything, please do hit me up on Twitter. My Oh, hang on one second. There we go. Hey, I can see myself. If you guys ever have a problem, just hit me up on Twitter. It's just at Creation Depot. If you have a specific issue about like trying to install a plugin, or if you just need someone to do this for you because it's just too much, let me know. I don't mind giving quotes because I know I'm not the cheapest, but I am very quick. So a lot of times I can do stuff in like 15 minutes and it costs like $30 versus somebody that charges you for several hours, and ends up costing more than that. So I've been doing this since like 1998, somewhere around there. So I'm very familiar with all this stuff. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to help. That's pretty much it for now. If you have anything, let me know. Otherwise, we'll do this again next Friday. All right. Thanks very much. Next Friday, I'm shooting for 1:00. So I'll see you then. Thanks so much. Any questions, put in the comments below or Twitter. Talk to you later. Bye.